Okay, this RJ said actually wasn't so bad. I just kind of took a little bit of the mud that was off the top of the trap. Once I got down below that, it was actually not so bad underneath there, the peat moss and everything. Dug out, there's a little bit of mud and stuff that was down in the bottom of the hole, so I went ahead and redug the hole out just with a trowel. It was very easy to do. And then rebaited it and relured it, and kind of sifted some fresh dirt across the top of it out in the front, and we're ready to go. We're all back in business. I just really hope this doesn't turn into 2018, because man, I just remember traveling in the mud that entire year. It was not fun. So hopefully this is not an omen for things to come. I think they're calling for some more rain maybe on Tuesday, and then it looks like 5 or 6 days of dry, I think, behind. So I'm hoping so. And Tuesday doesn't look like a ton of rain, so that'd be great. It might be a lot of work putting all these sets back together. It's really not that bad. It goes pretty quick. But at least it's beautiful. I mean, there's waterfalls all around me. Creeks are running great. Saw like 3 bald eagles this morning already. And we're getting a line back in place. What can be better than this? So I guess my conservation efforts over the last year or so of releasing these gray foxes has been paying off, because this is the 3rd gray fox I've caught in like 3 days. And I mean, it's great. It's fantastic. I'm hoping that these things come back, because you know, in a lot of states the gray foxes are really taking a beating. I know in Ohio and Indiana and lots of places the gray fox populations have really suffered, and so I hope that everybody can help to manage these things and get them back. The coyotes have just been so hard on them. And then there's other reasons, I'm sure. I know I was listening to a biologist talk about all the other possible reasons of gray fox, you know, not doing well. So I think it's great that, at least in my area, they seem to be coming back, because, I mean, 3 in the first week is more than I've caught in the last 2 or 3 years. So that's fantastic. Okay, this particular set, this is like a little double dirt hole thing. And the dirt hole is pretty big, and the main reason that it is so big is I had to do that to get the water out of it, and I didn't want to move the trap. And it sits kind of on this little knoll right here, so the trap itself was not sitting in water, but the dirt hole was in water. So I kind of did some work to get some of the water out of it. Last night something got in here, left little tracks. It looks like a little gray fox, to be quite honest. The tracks were pretty small, and something was, and that dirt hole is pretty deep. It's like 8 or 9 inches deep, but something was small enough to get down in that dirt hole, pull out the sheep's wool, it's gone. Pull out my bait, it's gone. It's got to be a gray fox probably. So all I did was I rebaited it, relured it, and I shoved that rock down in there, so that it's going to make it really difficult for him to pull that bait out from now on. And that's it. The other thing that makes me think it's a gray fox, besides the tracks were just too small for a coyote. Gray fox are notorious to be able to get their heads down in there. And then just right down the 2 track right here, I don't know, maybe 50 yards is where I caught another gray fox just a few minutes ago. So not saying that it was that gray fox, we always say that, but could have been another gray fox. I don't know, could have been something else. We'll see. I have a game camera right here, fortunately, so we'll see what if we picked it up and what the critter was. Just another day trapping in the Ozarks, trying to get through the mud, working through the mud. Okay, here's my first dug up trap of the season. And when we look at it, there's no like scratching. If you look, let's just look for the evidence, right? So there's obviously not much in tracks around here. There is, you know, some stuff, but you can't really make it out. There's no scratching this is like a little flat set, and I put a couple of little punch holes on each side of this rock. So there's one punch hole here, and there's one punch hole here, and then there's an itty bitty little punch hole right there. So, and it runs right along this 2-track road right here. And there was scat and stuff all along this road, bobcat and coyote scat. And I caught a possum in a trap right up there. So if we start looking at the evidence, if this is a canine, they're going to start digging. They're going to start digging with those front paws, digging. There's no digging around. There's no digging at the holes. There's no digging to try to get the bait out. There doesn't look to be like anything rolling in it that I can tell. It's hard to tell. I mean, but it doesn't look like anything, you know, that you'd see right off the bat. Basically, the trap is just kind of pushed up and moved around from being inside that trap bed. I obviously know that it's not a trap bedding issue because, I mean, as Steve will tell you, he calls me the trap bedding Nazi. I'm really particular about trap bedding, making sure that everything's really solid, so I know that's not the issue. So when we take all these considerations and look at all these things, the conclusion is this is a raccoon. Generally, in my experience, most of the time that you have a trap that's dug up, it's almost always a raccoon. And you know, you have this fresh dirt here that it's sitting in. Even though I tried to conceal the set as much as possible, it's still fresh dirt. Animals know that. They can smell it, they can see it. And these raccoons get in there with those front paws, front hands, and start digging around in this nice fresh dirt, and he just kicked his trap up. That's all he did. So we're gonna set it back and chug on down the road. So one score I was able to make today, while I was out redoing a couple more traps after the big storm. There was a few that I did not get to yesterday, so I was redoing them today. And on the kind of on the corner of this property, the farmer, he's got some horses, and he's got electric wire so he can move the horses from field to field. I don't know, he's probably got about a dozen horses or maybe a little bit more. And there's a kind of a horse barn on the back, and he's got like all kinds of equipment stored in there and things of that nature. But the horses are still go in and out of there, obviously. But he doesn't feed them, he doesn't store hay. He's got a different hay barn. It's really just more of equipment storage. But what I found was a ton of this dry dirt. Look how fine it is. Look how good it is. This is perfect. This is a score right here. You can never have too much dry dirt. Even though I put a lot of it up during the summer, you can never have too much dry dirt. This is really nice, bone dry, great dirt. So gonna be able to get a few buckets of this and use this early in the season. So always a score to find a bunch of dry dirt. Okay, we got actually a really nice coyote, nice and light colored, good size one too. He's all wrapped up in this drag and this brush. This is right here on the little 2-road intersection, right here, where we caught a coon. Maybe, I don't know, we caught a coon here 3 or 4 days ago, I think, something like that. And you could see where the critters were making this little turn right here. And so we picked up this coyote right here on this drag, and not really nice and light colored one. The last one we caught was way darker than this, so this is a good one. So we'll take care of this, we'll set this back up, and we'll keep moving down the line. So here's something that you don't see all that much, but if you look right here, it's a big pile of gunk, and I just kind of looked through it, and it's basically just fur and meat and stuff. So I'm assuming that this old coyote here, he was stuck trying to get away, probably just had this meal not too long ago, and then he puked it up, and it's laying here. I've seen this a couple other times, but actually not all that often. But I guess it just goes to show you that coyotes get freaked out and nervous, and they're trying to get out of this trap and everything, just like people do. So kind of weird. Okay, we got a trap here that's been set off and pulled, kind of pulled out of the bed, and I'm gonna guess, based upon all these tracks right here, right there, right here, right here, don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure out that this was horses. You can see all the horse manure in here. The horses are just sitting here doing whatever they're doing. They smelled this, probably came over here to investigate, got into it, set it off. I find that horses generally are less of a problem than cows, but horses will still sometimes get into your sets, just like deer. This particular farm does not have any cattle, it's just got horses, but he does have, I don't know, 20 horses, something like that, maybe, give or take. And he has them moved around in different fields, so there's a few in this and a few over here. So far, this is the first set that I've had that the horses have got into, and this is whatever check day this is, 5 or something like that. So it's just part of it. We'll reset it, we'll get it back in the ground, we'll move on down the road.